form of corruption. And from the Leadership newspaper this morning, we have reps members want all graduates enlist into army. Reps members wants all graduates to enlist into army. And also from the Leadership newspaper, we have Oni's return to PDP alters political equation in Ekiti. Oni's return to PDP alters political equation in Ekiti. That story is from the Leadership newspaper. Then we'll move on to The Guardian. The Guardian has death surge as doctors feud over COVID-19 pre-admission status. Death surge as doctors feud over COVID-19 pre-admission status. From The Guardian, we've got politics, and there is no plot to replace Secondus. There is no plot to replace Secondus. The Guardian newspaper is carrying that story. Also from The Guardian, we have why Attorney General's office should be immune from partisan politics. Why Attorney General's office should be immune from partisan politics. And this day newspaper, CBN disburses 49 billion naira COVID-19 intervention fund to 80,000 beneficiaries. CBN disburses 49 billion naira COVID-19 intervention fund to 80,000 beneficiaries. This day is carrying that story. And last from this day newspaper, and pretty much the last caption for many of the papers we'll be looking at today, we have federal government set to review petrol pricing template. Federal government set to review petrol pricing template. Now, these are the stories that we'll be looking at. Like I said earlier on, please go on our Facebook page if you want to react to any of that, of these stories. Just let us know which story particularly you'll be commenting on, and then go ahead and do the same. We have joining us this morning Wodi Chimene Esquire, is a spokesperson appraisal for good governance in Nigeria and a member Civil Liberties Organization, a Civil Liberty Organization. Thanks, Wodi Chimene, for honoring our invite. Good to see you.
Yeah, good morning, Rivers people. And you look so pretty.
Oh,
and
dear.
I love it so much when you
see, every day you
keep
come
shining on.
Yeah. Every day you come and say, Annie, you look so pretty. I feel like
it's a problem to me. I don't know where to start.
I feel like I should be making money out of this.
I remember what my mom told me. She said, wait, the beautiful ones are not yet born. And then
I was thinking, to wait.
I'm still waiting.
What did you find there?
Just keep shining.
Thank you very much. Good to have you on the show.
Yeah, thank you for bringing me.
All right. So let's start with the very first here. Wike, I have no presidential ambition. And it says here that Rivers State Governor, Mr. Nyesom Wike, has dispelled speculations that he's nursing the ambition of running for the presidency in 2023. Wike also described as unfortunate the silence of security agencies in apprehending those that threatened to destroy the state. The governor made the clarification when he appeared as a guest on the Rise News channel, the sister broadcast arm of this day newspapers at the weekend. The governor described speculations linking him to the 2023 presidential race as distractions. He said, right now, I'm focusing on delivering the dividends of democracy to the people of Rivers State. Recall that in 2018 and 2019, when I was supporting my friend Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, it was speculated in the media that I was going to run with him. That was my first tenure, and I have not even completed it. And they wanted me to give that way. To clear every speculation, let me state that I'm not going to run for the office of the President of Nigeria for now. I'm concentrating on developing Rivers State. I am not a party to anybody saying that the problems in PDP is about 2023. That can be the problem in APC because it is the ruling party. This is the last tenure of Mr. President, and he's going. So people are hustling to take over from him within his party. And PDP has nothing to do with that because the way it is now, we're taking over from nothing. All right. So this is the point, though. He says, look, I have no presidential ambition. You've always linked me to some presidential ambition. You guys did that in 2018. You said I was going to run with Tambuwal. It was my first tenure. I was just leaving office as governor then and trying to get back into second tenure. So you already did that before, which was not true. And it's what's going on now again. Already linking me with certain things happening now that might be a determinant to 2023. And he says for now, he's busy with Rivers State. His concentration is on delivering dividends of democracy to the people of Rivers State, and it has nothing with nursing a presidential ambition. Well, like he said, he qualified it. He said, for now.
Yeah, for now. I think the governor shouldn't be offended at all when people throw him among those who may be having the ambition. Every politician, what is onions and what is salt, of course, should indeed be also aligned among those who have ambition. And so any of them could become a president, either APC, PDP. So, but one thing I do not understand is why he left PDP and jumped into APC affair and said, no, for PDP, no, it's no problem. We don't have anything to lose because nobody is there, and then leaving. And then jumped completely into APC and started saying APC may have. I think for me...
I guess maybe he was just trying to reiterate the fact that they are not the ruling party.
No, that's
so there
not
won't
to say
there
that.
won't be any intricate maneuverings going on at the moment.
No, I think there is. There is
Where
completely.
he
because,
doesn't see it.
No, he himself doesn't see it.
Yeah,
But
he
I'm saying from outside, there is, because the PDP is struggling to outstage APC at the center. And he can't tell me that his party will always just abide by whatever comes out for the APC to continue. If it becomes a possibility, they will upstage APC and then take over. So that means somebody in the APC fold could also know the presidential ambition.
All right. Got your thoughts there. What did you mean?
I think the body language of His Excellency Chief Barrister Ian Wike is always a sincere one. Looking at his political, journey, he's not a man that dilly-dallies. He's always telling you, he's always on point. And looking at what he has said so far, I think he's on the developmental stride of it. He's not looking at 2023. And if he should be looking at, I think it's very hard. The only person that have scaled or jumped through the devil's gauntlet is the former president of Nigeria, Bele Jonathan, who on a platter of gold came out as a governor. From governor, he became a president. I think the next seat there, port of call, should be Senate. So I think he's on point. I don't know. People are always reading body language. But one, you never can tell, because sometimes, politicians are just, these days, just as Chief Imam will say, that they are not always sincere. So it could be that he's trying to throw the hook into the waters and see the kind of fish that he will catch. But for some of us, I think, who are within the discipleship of politics of sincerity, I think His Excellency may be saying the truth and may not be saying the truth. But somehow I look at this as a political an allegory. For now, we are yet to see the point.
Because I would understand if he says, for now, I am concentrating on delivering the dividends of democracy to the people of River State. Of course, he's the governor. But, I mean, we have seen in the past that governors, while doing that, are still in the neck of things when it comes to ambitions. Whatever the ambition is, you always find them. And to think as a political party, the PDP will be... how will I call it now? Will show any lackluster efforts to trying to get an edge in 2023. I would think that will be very unpolitical.
You see, Annie?
I would honestly, because as a political party and in the opposition, you will do everything you can now so that the odds are for you by the time elections come around the corner. So even if it means that you have to prod and push and do something within the other party to give you an edge, I will think that will be what political parties will do, especially in Nigeria.
You don't need to worry much. If a politician tells you A, be looking at B and C and D. Now, was Atiku at Adamawa not ready to assume position of a governor or whatever when Chief Obasanjo picked him as his running mate? Didn't he go? See, PDP is there and APC, they are there to checkmate one. If the influence of the River State government will not be interested, the fact remains that for now, truly, he is a governor. But that doesn't mean that his future ends in governor.
All right, okay, what let me hear you.
I think I'm not trying to see politicians as sacred cows when it comes to insincerity. But when you look at the pocket of attitudes that goes on, out of the character that politicians dishes out, you won't believe them. But I want to tell you that I think there are sincere politicians. As long as, insincerity has gone so far within the climes of politicians, I want to tell you that if you look at the body language of His Excellency, I think I won't just give it 100%. Of course, I won't give it 100% because they are always ambitious when it comes to who is going to cover me up. Remember, if your party does not win at the center, remember, EFCC will come. So many things will come against you. And some of them would not want to even leave the money.
And so there is always this, power of trying to, heart of trying to elongate, trying to remain in power. But with the sincerity, with what I'm seeing, I think for now, I don't know his body tells, but somehow we can't just take it away from him.
He says, I have no presidential ambition for now. And we'll leave it at that.
Let it remain like that too. We just pray it remain like that.
There's another story here from Good newspaper. 13% derivation. Ichakiri Group urges Buhari to pay oil communities. And Ichakiri Group, Association for the Promotion of Peace and Development in Ichakiri Oil and Gas Communities, have called on the federal government to pay the 13% derivation fund occurring to the Niger Delta region directly to oil and gas bearing communities. A statement by the group signed by its leader, Princess Grace Fregine, said payment of the fund to communities will bring development to the neglected communities, adding that the funds will be judiciously used. Only him that wears the shoes knows where it pinches. Hence, Governor Doyodiri of Bayelsa State did not mince words, as his call was for the 13% derivation to be paid to the host and oil-producing communities directly, not to the governor of the oil state. Clearly, the 1999 Constitution, Section 162, subsection 2 states the 13% derivation should be given to the host communities directly, not to any organ of government, the group said. Besides, the law does not permit state government to legislate on the 13% derivation fund since it is in the exclusive list. So far, the president, Muhammadu Buhari, has been operating within the radar of the Constitution. Hence, we, the Association of the Promotion of Peace and Development in Ishakiri Oil and Gas Communities, have no iota of doubt that he will correct this age-long anomaly by paying 13% derivation fund to the host communities directly.
Well, I think there's been a clamor from the host communities that these should be paid directly to them. But it seems this particular clamor has fallen on deaf ears from the part of government. And so whoever reenacts this particular call will not be in the wrong, because for me, as a person, they are the people that you should be giving to. Because see, when it comes to the state will use it, and much attention will not even fall on these host communities. But it's gone to the state. And the state does not mean themselves alone. I'm talking about the host communities. So it should be, because the degradation falls on them. And attention more along that line should also be given to them. But government knows exactly why it decides. Maybe it's reluctant to be giving it to the governors and all that.
Right.
But there's one thing very refreshing we find there.
What's that?
Is a woman that is leading.
I saw your body language. See, what did you mean has taught me a lot of things about body languages. I'm learning a thing or two.
It's a fresh feeling, I tell you.
When I said she, I saw your body language. I said, aha. Man, looks great. All right. What did you mean?
The local content law, Nigeria has failed its citizens right from time. And when I was opportune to look at the policy of indigenization and how regions have been, graced with kind of they have been marginalized over time, and this has spurred for agitations. I think the last time the vice president visited South, he made, I think that was when the president delegated, he became the acting vice president, acting president. And we saw him shout, and he was like, all the companies should move their head office to South. Up till now, I'm sure that was just an invitation to treat. I think we are not just doing it well, we are not getting it right. And that is why I keep saying that, first of all, I'm an advocate of people should reap what they have sown. What have we benefiting in the South? I think this cry has been long overdue. They should give it to the community, the host community. I was opportune to go to where they call Robokiri, somewhere in Kola. I almost cried. The people are they are still living in the third age world. It means some of them are still naked. And I was just looking at this. I say, are they part of Rivers people? Are they living in Nigeria? And I'm sure there are other places that people are living like that. So I think we should begin to look at the host communities. I wonder what we benefit. You have your oil, yet you can't benefit from the oil. I think Diri is on point. Let federal government, please, let them not just heed this on deaf ears. Let them look at it. Because part of what is causing marginalization today causing agitation today is as a result of what we see today. If I have oil in my backyard, I should be able to benefit from that oil. But another thing, another clarion call is that, are we organized? If this money is given to the community, are we organized? Wouldn't it go to the bourgeois? So I think the issue of bourgeois and overlord within the community must be reconciled so that it won't cause for more agitation.
We have joining us this morning, Opitima JP, journalist and international affairs analyst. Opitima, great to see you this morning.
Oh, great. And it's like you refreshed very well over the weekend. And you are so excited when I come to the studio.
Oh my goodness! Is it body language too? You're also reading. I don't know how you saw I was excited when you gave me to the studio. Opitima, please, I beg.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Good to have you. Thank you for honoring the invite.
Yes.
All right, so let's get your thoughts on this 13% derivation funds in Shakiri community demanding that it should be paid directly. What she did point out, though, she said the Constitution did say that it shall be paid to the host communities and not to any other body or agent. And she quoted the part of the Constitution. I haven't read it. I'm trying to get that part and see if in words, in detail, it said so. But I've always known that the money went to the state governments.
That was maybe amended recently. I've not had it like that. If not, I think the practice would have been paying it to the host community. But anyway, the point there is that I believe that the oil-bearing states and communities don't know actually what they need.
Okay.
There's lack of synergy. There's lack of unity, and we are so beggarly.
Who are the we who are beggarly?
I mean the oil. I'm from
oil
here.
Producing.
Yes,
no.
producing,
When you say we, I need to understand where you're coming from.
Oil producing
communities of beggarly. Okay.
Beggarly.
All right.
And we have not really come together to articulate our views and tell the world what we want. What we should be pushing for economic self-determination. It's not all these ad hoc things that will ask, like a kind of palliative. We should not be doing that. Look at where federalism is actually practiced in US, Australia, Switzerland, Canada. And we must adopt that model if what we are agitating for will manifest here. The features of federalism are quite clear. It's not this thing, this centralized structure, this kind of unitary structure. There is nowhere you hear countries do this kind of allocation. What are they allocating for? It is always because the federating units and the center, they have coordinate jurisdiction in the entire governance of the nation. The oil-bearing communities, who are giving the oil-bearing community, because you also have oil facilities crisscrossing all the length and breadth of Niger Delta. There are people who are hosting pipeline. And they, in the event of spillage, they also suffer. So I don't really understand this issue of it is in my backyard, it is not in my backyard. In as much as I say, look, let us do the right thing. Let's start from the unit. And from there, we can